I've got a train station. Train won't stop. Post office, they won't send mail. A hotel, nobody stays with me. A shop, I ain't got no mechanic. I got a doctor's office and hadn't got a doctor.
And a movie theater don't play any movies, right?
It's in a theater and I ain't got any movies.
Welcome into this edition of DME Meets. This is James Phillips, and I'm joined today, we're in Nauvoo. I'm joined by Mr. Gene McDaniel. Gene, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you, but wow.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I'm glad to come back to Nauvoo.
Well, you know, I don't get to Nauvoo much, but when I do, it's usually to come by here.
Yeah, good.
Coming up this weekend, we've got the 24th annual Nauvoo Car Show.
Yes.
Just tell us a little bit about the car show and why you started doing it and that sort of thing.
Well, it's quite a long story, but I'll make it quick. We created a historical society in Nauvoo, and it was slow starting, but we needed money, and we figured out that's the best way we could make it, and it was a success, very much so. We had the first car show in '96, I believe, or '95, and we had 89 or 90 cars out here on this street, and that's pretty big for Nauvoo. There wasn't that many cars and people here.
Right.
But it grew for years and years, and we raised a lot of money with it. And our historical society has done well with it. We've used the money for, we feed everybody in this town for Christmas. A Christmas dinner and a parade, and Miss Alabama and Miss Walker County and anybody else that wears a crown.
Right.
We'll take care of it. It's been a hit and a success. We started that in 1989. It was something. It wasn't a lot of people, and we really thought we'd have 200 or 300 people. And we did advertise heavy, but we didn't know what we was doing either.
Right.
So we run out of food first thing. We started buying cookies and send everybody one way or the other to get some more cookies.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a parade the first year. But the second year, we had in 1990, we had a parade at Christmas in Nauvoo, and it's always the first Saturday in December.
Right, that's the other event, or big event y'all do each year, is y'all do the car show, and then y'all do Christmas in Nauvoo every year, the first Saturday in December.
And the car show supports the Christmas in Nauvoo, supports the Historical Society.
Right.
And that's what we do with all that. The car show was very successful. We had them here from everywhere.
Right.
I had 350 cars in Nauvoo in 2007, and that was 100 cars more than they had people.
Wow.
We never had over 250 people.
Right. Now, how many cars do y'all average now in recent years?
It's gotten lower since 2008 for us. The reason being for it, it seems like that they car shows everywhere. Every community, every church, they do it too, and so everybody, you can't go to many of them, it costs too much, you know.
Right, yeah.
And so you wind up with just locals and a few scattered coming in. We'd be glad to get 100, I'd say now. We welcome them and we treat everybody fair, and we give them door prizes and money prizes, and they get to ride Miss Alabama in their car if you can get her close to it.
Right, yeah. Well, and y'all, that's one thing, you have Miss Alabama every year, Miss Walker County come to the car show and to the Christmas in
Nauvoo. We've had her twice a year the car show's 24 years old. We had the first one we ever released here, Miss Walker County, was at Miss Alabama. That's what brought up the idea, and we got her come first year. And she spent the night here, and it was certainly a hit, and we certainly had lots more of them. We've had a lot. Miss Walker County that went on to do great things, you know, and we've been very proud of that. And I hope we'll have her here this Saturday, and plenty of food, barbecue, and music, whatever.
It's always a good time, and y'all have a big crowd show up every year.
Yeah, it's great. We set up his front door to register cars, give away T-shirts in the front door. And they park all up and down the street, City Hall, and down this street, and behind the shop, and food's all across the street, and music is in my pavilion across the street here. And it's, yeah, it draws a good crowd sometimes just for the music.
Right, yeah.
We used to have some great bands coming that played for years. And the best band I had over the years was all dying out and quit.
Yeah.
Last year we just played music.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, that's all we had. But they play old music
Yeah.
because it's a classic car show, you know, and they play that kind of music.
Right.
And you can eat and look at a lot of cars and get your pictures made from Miss Alabama, and everybody that's got a car wants a picture with her standing by it, you know.
Right.
So she's a busy girl too when she gets here.
Oh, I bet.
It's really wonderful. And we've been fortunate enough all these years to have her.
Right.
I've
You're
had-
one of the first places she goes every year,
Yeah,
if I'm not
that's the
mistaken.
first job.
Yeah.
She just gets elected next week.
Right. And then she'll end up in Nauvoo the week after that.
For many years, that was her first. We had one time that already made a prior commitment, but our understanding was when she gets elected, she worked for the pageant.
Right.
But she'd had such an engagement made, they let her go to it. And but we have plenty of beauty in Miss Walk County, and everything Linda Thaler sends, we take them. You know?
Right. Yeah.
And she sends 3 or 4 girls, and they make all the cars. And sometimes you can't tell Miss Alabama from Miss Walk County. You
That's
know,
true. Yeah.
It's just whoever wins the contest.
As long as
They're
they got
all-
a crown on, everybody wants to get their picture from
And
the
they're
car.
all pretty.
Right.
And friendly, and they talk to people. We had one several years ago. A girl from Summerton got here early, and she was Miss Walk County.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of her name right now, but they chased her. They chased her all over town. It was an hour before Miss Alabama got here. She got all the attention that day too.
Right. Yeah.
It was something.
Well,
It was great.
You talked about across the street and here and across behind here and that sort of thing. That's something we need to talk about is the fact that you pretty well own downtown Nauvoo.
A lot of people accuse me of it.
And we're in the old Harbin Hotel, and that's one thing
Yeah.
I didn't mention at the beginning of the
Well,
interview.
I didn't realize it for a long time. The Harbin Hotel on the GPS system is sitting right in the center of the city limits of Nauvoo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a kid showed me that one day.
Yeah.
It is dead center. Nauvoo's only 1.5 miles long and 1/2 mile wide, you know.
Right.
We got about 150, 60 people.
Yeah.
But we have a lot. On our days, we put on a show of some kind. We have several events. We've had weddings. I've had everything in here except a divorce. And I don't want to start that.
Well, and the hotel, you used to use it as a bed and breakfast too.
Oh, yeah, we
and-
did that for a while. It was never for your investment. It was never worth it. We did this. We didn't mean to, really. We just bought it. I really bought it to put a store in.
Right. Well, because you had owned the hardware store
Yeah,
first. You bought it first, right?
yeah.
And then you bought this store. What year did you buy the hardware store?
September the 15th, 1974.
Okay.
July of 75, I bought the hotel. And 1 year later, I bought the shops across the street. A year or 2 or 3 later, I bought all this on this side. And it just, you couldn't quit, it just for sale, and it joined mine.
Right. Well, and you told me before you didn't want it to look bad because you had this property, so you wanted to keep everything around it clean
Yeah,
too.
well, really, when we started the Historical Society, that's what put me to cleaning up. It wasn't because I'd bought this, but when we got this thing done, we had lots of people come to Nauvoo, and it looked shaggy out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I took it on. They couldn't find grass cutters, and I asked them. I told them, give me the job, and I'd cut it free if you give me the tractor,
Yeah.
furnished tractor. Well, they said they couldn't. And I didn't know why, but they said no. Well, they come back not long after and still couldn't find nobody. And they still didn't want, so on the second time, I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. They paid $6 an hour. I said, I'll take it, but you make a check out to charity.
Right.
Anything you want to. Well, he couldn't do that. When they did come and ask me to take it, I took it for $6 an hour and be paid. And they had insurance on me, and I didn't realize what it was about. But it was about insurance. In my case, I told them I didn't need any. I worked for a drumming company. I had insurance.
Right.
But I did that for years, and I cleaned up every vacant lot. And as far as I can tell, everybody I knew was proud of it.
Right, yeah.
And I did it until 2 years ago. Now I don't get on the lawnmower or nothing else. I can't hardly keep from it, but I just try to stay off of them. I got a grandson that does it now, so it keeps the railroads clean, the highways, and any vacant lot. They just keep it clean.
Now, tell me a little history of the hotel. How old is it? Where does it go back to?
Well, I'm hoping that I live 3 more years, and it'll be at 3.5 years. It'll be 100 years old.
Okay.
It was built in 1923. In 2023, when January 1st comes, I'm gonna say it's 100 years old.
There you go.
I don't know what day it's completed. It's just all I had was I even had the cost. I had the cost, what it took to build it. What it's built out of is 196,000 bricks. It cost $24,700 and something to build it. 16 furnished rooms, 76 electric lights.
Wow.
That's what it says.
Yeah, 76
still
electric
got all
lights in 1923.
1923. And I later learned, earlier in those days, a lot of times when the coal mines were running, they had big generators. They didn't have power company, you know. They put poles this town, I think, one time. You only had power when the mines was working. I guess it worked out good. I don't know.
Well, and I guess back when the hotel was first built, Nauvoo was a bustling area with the with the railroad coming through and things like that.
Well, the railroad came through in 1890, and this group of people that moved over here lived about 3 miles away, 3 or 4 miles. And it's supposedly everything we can find, they picked up and moved over here, moved the church over here, built them a city hall or something. And it wasn't, it was called Omri's Mill back then. I think Engel's Mill. But anyway, a railroader gave the name to Nauvoo. He said they were so-called in a meeting and didn't have a name, and he had been through Nauvoo, Illinois, and he just suggested it, and they done it. And lo and behold, I've been to Nauvoo, Illinois, and stayed a week, and they got the same darn records we got of everything.
Do they really?
They were all Mormons up there. You'd be surprised. I stayed in a Nauvoo hotel up there. And they've been down here, several of them have.
Yeah.
But it's been interesting, to say the least, over the years, to what we accumulated in facts and stuff like that. We're not even qualified to dig them out and see where they went.
Now, some of the other buildings that you own, you've got the old post office that was in Nauvoo.
Yeah. Well, I got a private joke about it. I've got a train station. Train won't stop. Post office, they won't send mail. A hotel, nobody staying with me. A shop, I ain't got no mechanic. I got a doctor's office and hadn't got a doctor.
And a movie theater don't play any movies, right?
That's in a theater and I ain't got any movies. Still got those projectors.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah, there's a couple of them out there. I got one out there. If you open a bag up in it, it looks like it's a brand new.
Wow.
I don't know where you get reels and all that stuff.
Now, when was the last time a movie would have been shown in Nauvoo?
Well, I graduated from high school in 1954, and of course I'm from Slick Lizard, and it's a mile away. If you came to Nauvoo, you were out of towner. Really. They had a rural school and they had a Nauvoo school. You didn't have many reasons to come over here because they had stores in Slick Lizard too, you know. But I started school up here in 1942, and there's 525 students up there.
Wow, that's a big
in a
school.
9th grade school.
Yeah.
And when the war was over, really World War II, when it ended, the coal mining really slowed down. See, they were two major coal companies here. Moss McCormick Coal Company on that side of the track, and Deepwater, Black Creek Coal Companies on this side. And they both had camps, and there's a lot of people lived in those camps.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't come to Nauvoo alone. They said, I wasn't old enough to know, know that, but you better not come by yourself. But it's a great town.
Yeah.
I really like it. And I'm very proud of the fact that I took it on myself, cleaned it up one time about 15, 20 years ago.
Well, and you're on the town council also.
Yeah, I'm on town council, and I didn't want a baby that couldn't. Nobody wants it. Nobody
Right.
wants those jobs. And I gave them reasons, tried to give them reasons. I served 22 years on the Board of Education, and without pay, in the town council. There's too many minor arguments. They won't let anybody have a good say. Everybody wants to have a say in everything. And we got a good council, and
What makes you want to keep being on the council and being involved and keeping the events going? What's the?
I'm not ever going to quit till I die. That's been over 40 years of my life. I've been over here 44 years now,
Right.
and I love it, and I ain't going nowhere. And I got a heavy investment in all of it too.
Right.
You know, you'd be surprised if I'd ever looked at this hotel and went through it, I wouldn't have bought it.
Right.
Because it was very much disrepair. And in about 76 or 7, it took 3 years to move up here. These were wood floors, and when I tore them out, there's concrete floors under them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's punched full of holes for the water to go out. I poured all new floors, put all these walls up, and it's hard to say how much money I spent. I couldn't even tell anybody myself. I've got a
You got a fly flying around.
I got a fly problem. But yeah, we've had a great experience with this hotel. We met lots and lots of people because of it.
Yeah.
And we're getting old.
Right.
You know. Hopefully Mitchell will take it and do something with it, my young son. But it's really a good place for business. There's a lot of people. That doctor there delivered. From 1904 to 1949, he delivered 3,500 babies in this area. And this place was crowded when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. They had trade days here when I was still in elementary school. Had bands on the street out there and all that stuff. And when the mines went down, the coal miners, some of them went north, and they'd go to Winter Haven, Florida. And, they go with canning factories down there. Coal miners all headed up here in the bill cars and make steel.
Right.
And you could see it. You can tell it, and you know it better than anybody. The schools started dropping. We had schools everywhere. It was about 26 when I went on the board.
Right.
It's down to 16 when I got off. I don't know how many. There ain't that many. And if the churches hadn't built a couple of them,
We would be in trouble, right?
Yeah, one of my cousins jumped on me one time trying to tell me how many kids there was, and I said, he run the smokehouse. I said, James, when I went on the board, Walk County had 15,000 students. The Walk County system did. Mm-hmm. We've closed 5 or 6 schools, and he had 30 and 40 to the room when I went on board. Hell, it was still full,
Right, yeah.
So there's not as many people. And you know this, Walker County's population hasn't changed since the turn of the last century.
Right, it's about the same as it has been.
It's around 68, 75,000 people as long as I can remember.
Right, yeah.
So you can't say it's growing. I don't know what you say about it. You can call it anything you want to.
It's just staying still, right?
Yeah. Well, we don't have facilities like living on Tennessee River and
Right.
on major highways and all that stuff.
Right.
Makes a difference. A lot of little towns suffer because of that. Yeah, I tell people all the time, you're never gonna have anything, quit worrying about it. Ain't no land for sale.
Right, right.
Ain't no land for sale and all that.
Yeah.
If it was, it ain't but a square mile there in the first place.
Well, is it your plan? I mean, you've already said it. You're going to keep doing until you're not here any longer. So
That's right. Well, I could never get it out of my system. I just did so much of it, even when somebody comes, some of my kids gets mad because I try to tell them how to do something, but they got a different way of doing it.
right, yeah,
I just tell them how I done it.
right. Now,
And it's been good.
is there anything you'd just like to say to the community for always supporting the different events going on here in
Oh,
Nauvoo?
yeah, I live in as far as I'm concerned, I live in a great community. I left a great community too, but I'm like the renter. My neighbors are good here too. They're good where I left, so that means something.
Right, yeah.
And I've never had a problem here. It's just been great to me. Not a person in this town that don't know me and know me well. You know, I guess I've been in every house in this town.
Right.
And probably have eaten about it with them.
I was going to say you might have even been invited in a couple of them.
I have many times.
And how about Walker County as a whole and the support y'all have gotten over the years? You know.
Well, when we have, I'll tell you a little story about it in a minute. When we have events, they come from all sometimes, except for Christmas in Nauvoo. I don't know. They come from Huntsville down here and eat every year. 2 people does. I don't know who they know down here.
Right.
But they come from everywhere for that day and that parade. But we've had visitors. We felt like we've had a person from every state here with the records we kept one time.
Yeah.
And except, well, we've had them from Hawaii now. Earlene went over to check on them one time. But we did, and the car shows, Lord, they used to come. Mississippi was my big supporter. We live close to them, and boy, they're a car state too.
Yeah.
But I used to have a lot of those people. And I have to say, you have to work for a car show. You can't just put up a sign that you're gonna have one there. You gotta go visit these people and be friends with them.
Right.
And tell them why you're holding a car show and invite them. And I used to be so good at it. I used to hunt one to go to and tell them where I live and what we do.
Right.
And it worked for me.
Yeah.
And a friend from Carbon Hill tried to do a car show in Carbon Hill. That's the first advice he gave me on the first car show. He said, if you want a big one, you got to get out from here and go hunt them.
Right.
And Lord, I did. And Lord, I had them too.
And let people know where Nauvoo is.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had motorcycle people. They'd camp out, they'd rent the whole hotel, and there'd be 15 or 20 of them in tents at the train station.
Right.
That's a beautiful place over there too. They'd go over and sleep, and I don't know what to sleep in.
Right. But they'd stay there though.
It was good though.
Well, Gene, I appreciate you letting us come today and hang out in the hotel for a little while and talk to you.
I'm glad you did come. Many people have sent us letters from everywhere thanking us for doing this
Right.
for a long time. And we're dying down with age.
Right.
Arlene and I are getting almost beyond doing anything. But we'll keep trying.
Right.
Because we got a lot of friends that helps. And one of them you met one a while ago.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I met her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming out here and let me say something about it.
Well, hopefully everybody will show up this weekend for the car show.
Well, I hope so. I think we'll have a pretty good one. The fact of the matter, I want to thank you for what you've done for the newspaper and the television station. We're going on that probably first of the week. And I tell my friend, that don't reach out far. I don't know where it goes to. I used to have it here one time.
Right.
But it's gone, and I guess it's got a good audience in Jasper.
Right.
But I'm friends with a lot of the people in the Jasper car show too.
Yeah.
And they recommend it. If anybody asks them, they'd recommend it.
They send them this direction.
Yeah.
Well, Gene, I appreciate it, and we're going to get out of your hair and let you get back to taking care of Nauvoo. Thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of DME Meets. This is James Phillips. We'll see you next time.